Okay, everyone. So we're going to make a start on the first briefing. Obviously, feel free to carry on with your breakfast and enjoy. I guess the objective of this session is to give you a high-level overview of the new AML REQ, the why it matters, who's in scope, what's changing, and the hard deadlines. We're not going to go into the technical nitty-gritty just yet on this session. That's for the next one. The goal is to give you a big picture here so that you can start to prepare. Okay, so let's start with the why. First up, there's a new anti-money laundering authority, or AML, coming, and they want a data-led approach to supervision. Now, the CBI have already said that they're trending in that direction and that they've tried to align their new AML REQ with the data requests that will be emanating from AML soon. But, spoiler alert, that may mean that the REQ may need to change again, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Second thing is the first filing for the new REQ is in February 2026 using 2024 data. Third, the CBI has been crystal clear in their recent guidance note that this is a hard deadline, no excuses, no extensions. And lastly, the format change is massive. We're moving from Excel, which we're all comfortable reading and working in, to XML, which is a machine-readable format. And that's schema-driven with very little wiggle room for errors. So now that's the context. Let's get practical. So who does this affect? Well, the first wave of firms are in this room. That's payment institutions, e-money institutions, and credit institutions. Other sectors will follow later in the year. And what is it? It's a brand new AML REQ return. It's sector specific, in XML only, and now every single field is mandatory. So like the DORA return earlier in the year, you can expect some basic hard validations in the CBI portal when you submit your return, with additional checks to follow post-submission. Okay, and when is it? The filing deadline for payment institutions and e-money institutions is Friday the 13th of February. So if you're superstitious, don't leave it until then. And it's 27th of Feb for credit institutions. And where is it? Well, all files must be submitted in XML, as we said, through the CBI portal. And the portal, we've been told, will open at least 2 weeks before the respective deadlines. Okay, now the big question, what is actually different about this return in terms of content? Well, the old AML REQ was pretty simple. There was one generic template for all firms. There was 8 sections. It was a mix of qualitative and quantitative questions, and there was about 20 pages of CBI guidance, and you uploaded an Excel file to the platform. It was fairly mild stuff. The 8 sections of that old AML REQ covered your firm details, governance, risk profile 1, which was your products and services, your geographies, and your distribution channels, risk profile 2, which was customer exposures, PETs, and sanctions, ongoing monitoring, suspicious activity reporting, management information, which was your board MLRO report, and lastly, a statement of compliance. So that's the status quo. Now, the new AML REQ is a different beast. We now have sector-specific templates with each containing 12 or 13 sections for payment institutions or credit institutions. And we now have over 120 pages of CBI guidance. And as I said, we're moving to XML filing, which is a big change. All of this is far more detailed, more prescriptive, and less forgiving. So you're going to really need to be on the ball. And I'd like to just spend 2 or 3 minutes quickly running through the content of the new returns for payment institutions, e-money institutions, and credit institutions, just so you have a bit of context on what's changing. So for both sectors, they share 6 common tabs at the start of the return. There's a general tab, which covers legal structure, parents, subsidiaries, business models, international presence, so your passporting and your statement of compliance. Second, there's inherent risk. I actually think this is going to be the trickiest section to complete. It covers customers, products and services, and transactions. And it's tricky just due to the sheer volume of data and the different cuts of data that you're required to report for that particular tab. Third, we have mitigation and control. This is a big one. So this is almost in a way your entire AML framework condensed into one tab. It covers your risk assessment, your policies and procedures, onboarding and offboarding, due diligence, transaction monitoring, alerts, suspicious activity reporting, sanctions, outsourcing, training, testing, audits, and governance. It's essentially the old AML REQ on one tab. It's a lot. Fourth up, we have physical presence. So that covers your subsidiaries, branches, representative offices, and things like agents, distributors, and white labeling partners. Fifth, so the fifth tab will look more in detail at your customers. That's residents and establishment. It wants to know natural persons versus legal entities, how many are new customers, how many are high risk, and how many are PEPs or close associates. For legal entities, you'll also need to report when beneficial owners are located outside the EEA. The sixth section that I want to talk about is beneficial owners. So that focuses entirely on beneficial owners across your customer base, broken down by country and how many are PEPs or close associates. So those are the 6 common questions across both sector returns at the start. After those 6 sections, things diverge a little and become more sector specific. So for credit institutions, the following tabs are about payment transactions, pooled accounts, and trade finance. And for PIs and EMIs, it's about digital accounts, prepaid cards and vouchers, merchant acquiring, and money remittance. And the thing to remember with those sector-specific tabs is they require transaction data broken down by country and broken down by high-risk customer. That's generally the rule of thumb. Now, for the last couple of tabs, both reports converge again and have some commonalities. So there's a tab on correspondent relationships for both. So that's how many institutions you support and their transaction data broken down again by country and high-risk customers. There's geography of funds flow, which asks for source and destination of all funds flow, again broken down by country and high-risk customers. And lastly, transaction monitoring. So that's referring to your TM alerts. It wants to know your rule names or models, a description of each, number of alerts, and how many were true or false positives. So as you can see, the new AML REQ is what we would call spicy, just because of the sheer volume of data required and the prescriptive XML rules that are driving it. And here's the reality check. The clock is already ticking. So the new AML REQ was published by the CBI in June this year. They've already confirmed a workshop for 17th of October. You need to RSVP by the 8th of October for that, so I really recommend that you do that. And testing kicks off shortly after that, so testing is in November. Credit institutions will do their dry run in a window early November, followed by PIs and EMIs later that month. The dates are on screen. We reached out to the CBI to ask for these dates. And after all of the testing, the CBI portal opens at least 2 weeks before the deadlines. Now, an important note on testing that the CBI have told us, it is possible to test outside of the dates that you see on screen, but the CBI won't be monitoring it full time, and so they may be a bit slower to respond. So if you want to get your testing done and done right, we suggest you do it inside these test windows. Now, so how do we all get our act together in time for testing in November and submission in February? Well, fortunately, the CBI has already told us what firms got wrong last time with the old AML REQ in their publication, Common Issues with the AML REQ. And here are the 5 common pitfalls to avoid. So first up, not reading the questions properly. You need to read and understand all of the questions and refer to the CBI guidance notes, and ensure that your answers are accurate and reflective of your institution's activities. The CBI have said they'll be checking the veracity of responses. Second is not understanding definitions. So for example, with the old AML REQ, firms were reporting that they were doing simplified due diligence, SDD, when in fact they were doing standard due diligence. So the definitions make a big difference. Bad file naming. It's administrative, but it's important. And if you don't use the right file naming convention, your return will be rejected. And misreporting financials, this is a big one back in the day. We were reporting to thousands. We're now reporting in whole units. So there's a difference there, and just make sure you don't get tripped up. And last but not least, forgetting to sign off the return in the CBI portal itself. If you don't sign it off, it gets stuck in limbo and it doesn't get submitted, which is a nightmare. So all of these sound really basic, but they're the most common mistakes that firms make, and you should keep them in the back of your mind as you approach the new REQ. Now, before I hand over to Dan, I'd just like to flag a couple of resources that you can lean on. So on the left, you've got official CBI resources. We've linked their guidance, sample files, and details there of the workshop that they're running in October. So worth signing up. And we've also provided their AML and technical support contact details. On the right, you've got our resources. We've built guides and a one-page infographic which shows you at a glance what you need to do. And we've also built an improved PI EMI Excel template. And this is important because the CBI's own sample Excel file has some gaps in it when compared with the schema. So if you want to be working with the most accurate version, please reach out to Dan and he can share that sample Excel file with you. And of course, we'll share the slides and the recording from today's session with you afterwards. And yes, don't be a stranger. If you've any questions, please reach out to myself or Dan directly. We're here to help you guys. We all know CBI testing is coming and that can be stressful. So our goal is to take that off your plate so that you can continue running BAU in compliance, not wrangling with XML files and spreadsheets. So we'd like to make a practical offer to you of some support. We will help you submit your AML REQ test file for free, even if you're not a client with us. You'll get full access to our platform and one-on-one support from us. And I guess with this, there are no strings, no obligations, just proof that it works. And if you already have a vendor, that's fine. Test with us anyway. Worst case, you'll get a second set of eyes on your return, which is always good. And best case, you might see something that can do it better, faster, or easier for you. And if you do decide to switch later and you still have a vendor, so you're not quite sure, we will reduce your first year price to cover that vendor overlap, so you're not paying twice.